Hello everyone, welcome to Edvancer. In this video, we'll be going through second part of Introduction to R. In the previous video, we talked about how to create R objects containing single data values. These data values were of three kinds: numeric, character, and logical. In this video, we are going to talk about how to do operations on those values. We'll start with the simple algebraic operations on numeric values such as addition, multiplication, etc. We'll then move on to operations which are possible to achieve with functions. Then we'll move on to how to do operations on strings or categorical values such as combining strings, substituting part of them, extracting a part of that string, how to find out using functions how many characters are there in that string. We'll also learn about how to create logical values, because in real life you don't create logical values by simply assigning your variable or your object equal to true or false. You rather create them using some conditions, right? So we'll learn how to write those conditions. We'll also learn how to combine smaller conditions to create a complex one. Okay, so let's start. Let's create two numeric object first. So we have created x and y. X is containing value 2, y is containing 8. As far as simple algebraic operations are concerned, you can carry them out using these symbols which are available in your system, and they give you intended results. So x minus y is minus 6, x into y, which is achieved with the symbol asterisk, x divided by y, and you get the results. If you want to use these results somewhere, you'll have to store them in an object. Just to emphasize, since it's still the beginning of the course, you can name your object whatever. So I have named it literally whatever, and you can see here it contains the result of this operation x plus y. Okay, doing this only shows you the result in your console. You cannot use that anywhere. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now coming to how to achieve x to the power y operation, you can use this symbol which you'll find on the numeric key 6, or you can use double asterisks which give you the same result. Okay, so no difference on how this operation is carried out. It's just a matter of preference for you. You can combine these basic operations to write a complex one using parentheses and whatnot. Okay, so it's not that you have to do this in steps. You can write multiple simple operations and combine them to create a complex one. Again, if you want to use the result, you'll have to store it somewhere. Here it is. Now, moving forward from simple algebraic operations, there are operations for which you'll have to use functions. For example, calculating logarithmic of a number, or exponential values, or tan, sine, cos, these kind of trigonometric values. You have functions for these. For tan, you have tan, and for sine, cos, arcsine, and so on. So you have functions associated with those operations. I'm not going to cover and talk about each and every functions there. That is something I'll leave for you to explore. Okay, how to explore? Okay, let me just guide you there. Let's say you're looking about sine. Just start typing and you will see that functions start to appear which are having the same name as the one you're looking for. You can scroll through them and look at this documentation and select the one which fits to your need. Okay, also it's easy to look for these functions because they have standard names, not really specific to any programming language. sine is sine everywhere, right? Cos is cos everywhere, and so on. So it's very easy to look for those functions also. Okay. One thing that I wanted to talk about is default arguments within functions. Let's look at these three examples which I have written using log function. In each example, we are calculating logarithmic of 2 to the power 14, right? You will see that in each of these examples, you'll get different results. Let me do one thing. Let me clear the console because there are other results and you might get confused here. The trick to clear is Control L. This works both on Windows and Mac. So let's run these together. Okay. So you can see here in all these, I get a different value for logarithmic. Why is that happening? This here I am calculating logarithmic value on base 10. Here I have not given any argument for base. So I am getting natural log. Here I have given argument for base as 2, so I get the value as 14. The lesson here is that functions will have default arguments as well. So you don't need to necessarily pass those arguments, but if you want to override the defaults, so for example in log the default is e, the natural log. If you want to override that, then only you need to explicitly mention the base argument, otherwise you'll get natural log. Okay, fine. So this was all about numeric operations. We'll learn few more complex operations also as we move forward in the in this course, but for now this will suffice. Now next we learn about how to do operations on categorical values. So we have created three objects which contain, character values with these. X is Sachin, Y is Tendulkar, Z is cricket. The first function or operation that we learn about is paste. Notice that there are no simple symbols to carry out string operations. For algebraic operations you have all this plus, minus and so on. For string operations you will have to use functions. First thing, how to combine strings, we will be using function paste, which basically pastes the strings together. See here, and it pastes them with a space in between. Let's say I don't want that. I don't want any space, or I want them to, paste it with some other separator in between, right? You can achieve that by using argument sep. So let's look at the documentation of paste. You can see here this triple dot correspond to generic argument. So however many values that you give to paste, it will paste them together. You will have to use named argument, where basically you'll have to give a specific name to it using sep, and equal to whatever value you supply, that will be used as separator. Let's see an example and that will clarify things for you. So first we are creating name, pasting X and Y. So this is the name, Sachin Tendulkar. Now I want to combine the third thing, cricket here, but I want to combine this using separator colon. So these are the values that I'm passing. Name is Sachin Tendulkar, one string, Z is cricket, and I want them to combine using separator colon. So I am using a named argument sep equal to this. Let's look at the result. So instead of a simple white space, these two strings, Sachin Tendulkar and cricket, have been combined using a colon, which we specified specifically there. I have put in different examples to emphasize that you can use whatever you want as a separator. Okay. Next function or next operation that we learn about is substitution. So what it does, it substitutes a given pattern with another in a input string. So first argument for the function sub, which is short for substitution, is the pattern that you want to substitute. Second is what you want to substitute it with. Third argument is where do you want to carry out this substitution. Okay, so let's do this. Let me clear this screen. Okay, so when you do this, you'll see one peculiar result here. That is only the first value has been substituted. That is what function sub does. It substitutes only the first value. Okay, now if I wanted to substitute further values, I can use function sub in a nested manner, meaning I can apply this sub function again on the new add object itself, and that will result in both the values substituted. But this is not a very good solution. Let's say my address or any other string where I want to do the substitution contained too many hyphens. I don't know how many. You don't expect me to carry on applying sub over and over again in order to replace them. I would rather do that by hand. There is a function gsub which you can use to substitute globally. Okay, so let's see what gsub does. Look at the result. It substitutes all the occurrences of this pattern with this one in this string. Okay, so if you want to substitute all the values, you can use gsub, which is short for global substitution. Okay, next function that we learn about is how to extract a chunk of a string, a part of a string. Okay, we will be using that using function substr. Let's see how does that work. Let's say this is one string. Okay, and I have put in some random symbols and spaces also. It's not an IP, so to say, just that I've named it that way. Why have I deliberately put in all these white spaces? To emphasize that everything counts. Okay, counts towards what? You will understand in a minute. Let's say I want to extract a part of, I've named it port. Let's say I want to extract a part of this string, which is IP. I will start at 18th position. So where is that 18th position going to be? Start counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We'll start here and go up until 20th position. So 90th, 20th. So ideally our result should be 4:2. Oops, we did not create IP. And let's look at the result. And that is what we talked about. The result is going to be 4:2. Now, if you hadn't noticed, we counted all the white spaces individually also. All the dots, all the special symbols in there. So everything is a character within a code. Doesn't matter if it's a simple white space. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's a special symbol. Everything gets counted. Also, count starts from 1, not from 0, as opposed to some other programming language such as Python or C or so on. Okay, so it doesn't start from 0. Here is another example. You can see here that you don't need to use names of the arguments. They are recognized by their position. So if you do not specify name of the arguments, start and stop, the second argument will be taken as start. The third argument will be taken as simple stop. Okay? Right. Here is a small exercise that I want you to do. Not exercise, rather exploring. But try to pass on different kind of arguments to start and stop. Say, numbers which exceed the length of the string, negative arguments and whatnot. Try to pass on all these values, look at the results, and try to figure out what works and what doesn't. It's a great way to learn by doing and making errors in the process. Okay. Next thing is how to find out number of characters in the string. This is your string here, and the function is nchar that returns number of string. Just to demonstrate again that all the characters are counted, I have put in a couple of spaces in here, change the value of x, and you can see here now the number of characters is 13. Okay, so all the white spaces are getting counted as well. Next we learn about logical operations, essentially how to create logical values through operations, conditions. Let's create these. There are 4 kind of basic operations. So x greater than y, although I can make it 6, also include x greater than or equal to y, x less than or equal to y. Okay, so these kind of 6 basic operations are there, and the result of these operations will be true or false, basically evaluating whether this condition is true or false. That is going to be a result of these operations. So result will be a logical value. Let's see, x greater than y, it is not, 7 is not greater than 9, so you get false. False. Is it less than or equal to? Yes, it is. You'll get true. Get true. For comparison of equality, you'll be using 2 equal to sign because single equal to is reserved for assignment. Is x equal to y? No, it is not. Although we'll read it as equal to, but it is not for assignment. You need to use 2 equal to sign. For not equal to, for inequality, we'll be using exclamation marks and a single equal to sign. This is read as not equal to. X not equal to y. Is that true? Yes. Okay. Again, if you want to use it somewhere, store it. Okay. Now, here is an example how to combine these simple conditions into complex one. This is x, which is 10. X greater than or equal to 1, that condition is true. X less than or equal to 12, that condition is also true. So if you combine these 2 conditions using AND operator, the result will be true if both the conditions are true. Only and only if both the conditions are true. You can combine multiple conditions, not that you can only combine 2. Now, one of these conditions is not true. So the result of the combined condition will be false. As I said, if you are combining your condition using AND operator, all of them needs to be true in order to the entire complex condition to be true. So let's write something like this. So now all of these conditions are true and your result will also be true. There is another operator OR, which is represented by pipe operator. You'll find it above the enter key. Now OR operator will result in false only if all the conditions are false. So this condition is false. This condition, however, is true. So the result of this, or evaluation of this condition, will be true because not all of them are false. Even if at least one of them is true, the result will be true. That is the difference between when you're combining condition using AND or. Okay. A quick example using character y equal to Sachin. Now remember that R is case sensitive. So capital S, capital A, Chin is different from capital S, A, CHIN, right? You read them both as Sachin, but they are different because of the cases of the. Okay. So you can see here both of these conditions are false because y is not equal to either of them. so the result is false. Let's make it this. Now this is true, that's why this thing will evaluate to true. Got it? We'll start with a small exercise for you. Explore this function grep. Okay, I'll tell you to what end. The exercise is, we saw how to substitute the first value. We also saw how to substitute all the values. The exercise for you is to figure out how to substitute a value at a particular position. The exercise here is S is a random string given to you. I want you to write a code which substitutes only the second edge, this one, with a capital Q. Okay, in this process you might have to use some function that we have already learned about, substr, paste. Figure out how to do it, and if you face any problem, feel free to go to Q&A forum and post it there. We'll discuss. Okay, until then, bye bye.